Hello, welcome to another adventure in tarot casting. I have my personal handy 9x12 sketchbook that I have come to put all of my stickers in. Here is the Creative Divination book. I use this as one part casting board book and other part like journal. So there will be pages on the opposites that have, my thoughts about a spread, what the image does for me, how I might approach it, right? So today I want to share with you a new board that I just created. I actually revisited this. This is the Ravens tarot casting board. I created this a couple years ago as far as just a wooden engraved board. But it's been discontinued in the shop. I guess if there's enough, like if people really want it, we can always add it back. But I just kind of wanted to retire some things so that I could revisit it in full color now that we have that ability. Let me move that so the glare is out. So yeah, so the idea initially behind the Ravens casting board was just kind of to harness the idea that ravens and crows and corvids, they kind of go between the worlds, right? They're messengers from that space of where the veil is the thinnest, the land of the dead. And they can bring back messages for us. So when I was approaching this revisited one, I still used the same images of the crow, but I put them in flight, or I put them in full color, excuse me. I've got the one sitting here, ravens, the one in flight, and then the one coming in for landing. Then I wanted to put it on a full moon with the background, kind of because I feel like that energy really gives it the spaces in between, right? It's not like a sunshiny day, like this is what's going on when we least expect it, or if you're out on a full moon, you're looking for the messengers, all those things. There are mountains in the background, symbolically, that could be talking about blockages or things that we need to overcome. Mountains can be immovable, however, through time, they will be formed and carved. So there's a lot of symbolism in these boards, in these images. The tree is there for, I like a winter tree without all the leaves, and it kind of shows about that longevity and lasting. It takes a while for a tree to become vast and big. So some of the ways that you could use this board is, I don't know if you can see it really well, but I'll try and zoom in. I've got quite a few different spaces on here, and they're ghosted so that they don't take up too much of the imagery. I did that on purpose. So there's 3 main cards. There's also a round oracle card, or just if you have a round tarot deck, you could use that. I have hexagonal tile placements, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. And then I have the rectangular tile placements in the corners. There's no right or wrong way to use these boards. If you're new to my world, just take a gander at some of the other adventures in tarot casting, just to kind of see how it invites you to play. Like you may want to just work with one card and then have the tiles on the side. That is one of my favorite spreads. But I have these above and below because I've really been playing with that layout of like a 3-card spread with the above and below. There's really so many different ways that you could use this, and I'm going to do a quick demo. I'm going to do, let's see, what do I want to do? I think I'm going to do the 3-card with the above and below because that's what I've just been playing with recently. But I also am going to use the 4 corners. I'm going to do it a little different than what I normally do. I'm going to use my out of hand tarot. This is what the card backs looks like. And we're just going to do a couple. This isn't meant to necessarily be a reading. It's a demo. However, if you find something in it, then that's totally fine. And, who am I to say when and where messages can be received, right? So let's just give this a shuffle and see. One of the big things about tarot casting, what I really enjoy and what I really want to drive home for you, is the idea of creative play. I want you to come to this board and think about what message it might be that you want to hear from beyond. You know, what comes back. I can't help but think of The Crow, and I love that they're doing a redux of that. I remember seeing the original movie in the theaters. Yes, now I am dating myself. But I think about like what we need to see that is coming back. Like the thing that maybe we thought we had laid to rest, and now the ravens have shown up to tell us, you know, maybe you need to revisit this. And that's one way that you can approach these boards for like a specific intent. But the idea is you're showing up in this playground, right? So how might that feel? Let's see, let's cut them. Hear my dog shaking in the background. Okay. So a lot of times what I like to do with this is I generally start in the center. However you wish to lay these down, that's completely on you. I am just showing an example, and I cannot stress that enough in these videos. My way is not the only way. However you may feel compelled to use these things, if at all, it's up to you. That's what I love about this practice. So I generally start in the center. Oh, and look at that. Right off the bat, we've got the devil, right? And so it could tell us about like this image of this shadow of like what it is that we are projecting, what it is that we're really chained to. Is it real or is it an illusion? Like I think about the devil, and especially in the out of hand with this, it's like it's our shadow, right? It's that thing that we are sometimes not really excited to experience, but it's there, and we can illuminate the shadow and really get to the heart of things. And maybe that's what these ravens are telling us, like, hey, you think you're done with whatever this was, whatever this devil card brings up for you, and you're not yet, you know? So then we think about, well, what brought us here? What brought us to having to face the shadow? And we've got that Page of Pentacles. And that could be talking about like maybe our course of study. Maybe we're like reading some books about it, bringing it up. And then where we need to go with that is the Eight of Cups. And that could be like, well, you know, now maybe you just need to clean up and move away, walk away from it. Understanding something, getting to the root cause of it, oftentimes allows us to put the book back upon the shelf, to clean up after whatever mess that we feel, or maybe just, you know, stack our cups. I think about this Eight of Cups in the out of hand as leaving it better than it was when you found it, right? Like you're moving on, but in order to move on, maybe you need to stack your cups and throw them in the proper receptacles, or, you know, just kind of understand that that needs to be taken care of before you can really move into a new position, right? And that's, the ravens are telling us that we've been observing, we've seen the things, we've consulted, maybe there's, you know, books that you've read or something that triggered you to confront the shadow play, confront what it is that is the difference between real, illusion, what you're being tied to. And now you're in the space of being like, you know what, I'm ready to deal with this, and I'm ready to move on from this, right? And so I'm gonna actually be using some of the Rider-Waite Sawyer's Redux variant. I know that's a long word. I've been calling it my Redux deck. As above and below energy. So what that does is it gives us a little bit more insight, right? And below, I'm pulling out 3 cards, 3 tiles, and we've got the Two of Wands, the Queen of Pentacles, and Judgment, right? And so then above, and see how that's starting to layer on there. This is one of my favorite parts, is like playing, is looking aesthetically pleasing and playing, and just really, I like the balance that it brings with the backdrop. You know, I know I'm not in the reading right now, but I'm just kind of talking about it. But for me, whenever I see these placements on a board, or whenever I see them on one of the things that we create, it allows my inner child to show up and play, right? And so then we've got Death, and the Nine of Pentacles, and the Six of Pentacles. And so now we're at this point, right, when we're going, okay, we have met ourselves where we are, and we are in this position of you know, doing the research, doing the study, and I don't even know if research, like when we're observing that there's an issue, when we're observing that perhaps we're addicted to past traumas or past behaviors or people, places, things, like I said, getting to that, we identify the problem so that we can move past from it, right? And sometimes when we can name what it is that's bothering us, it takes the power away from it. And that's when we can throw these empty cups that no longer are serving us, these emotions that are just not really that good for us away, right? Like we can put them where they need to be. And sometimes that might be in the trash. The undercurrent with this Two of Wands and the Queen of Pentacles and Judgment is talking about maybe you're at a space in your life where you don't feel like things are bad. Like maybe you're just looking out at a bigger picture and kind of thinking about what comes next. And in the root of it, you've got this Queen of Pentacles energy, and it's saying, okay, I should be happy where I am. I'm grounded. I've got all the things that I want. I'm like really good. But sometimes that undercurrent gives us this space of what next, what's more. And Judgment is talking about like, maybe you have to confront those ghosts from your past. Maybe you need to like really call upon them. And that's what the ravens can do. They can bring the ghosts to the forefront so that we can deal with them, right? And above, the energy that maybe we know about it is like, we need that change, right? Like, so death shows up and says, hey, you don't got to go home, but you can't stay here, right? It's saying this has to end. Something needs to end in order for you to find yourself in this space of like utter contentment, utter luxury, living that life that you want. And maybe it's also saying maybe there's been a little bit of selfishness that you need to deal with. And to result and to get into the space of moving forward, we've got the Six of Pentacles saying there has to be some reciprocity, right? We need to give as well as receive. And maybe it's giving you like a spotlight on the imbalance that's going on. So you can also at this point look at like the symbols on the backdrop and how it plays in. You can say the full moon is highlighting this Six of Pentacles. And you can say, okay, that really is something that needs to be taken a closer look at, right? And if you want to, you could continue to add tiles to your heart's content, or you can continue to add cards. But I feel like there's enough here for a conversation within the tarot. What I usually like to do at this point, because it will just get so big, is bring in some Lenormand as boundaries. And that helps us like get back to it, right? And they're on their side for placement purposes. I mean, I could have put them upright, but I can still read the card if it's on its side. So we have the key, the tower, the bear, and what's the last one? And birds, right? So now we're like in this space of going, okay, this is supposed to be a demonstration. Why are we discussing so much shadow work? Why are we really in the thick of it? And it's kind of, well, that's what tarot does. It doesn't really like small talk. It wants us to dive in, and it wants us to just immerse ourselves. And maybe at this point in my practice, I expect that. So that's kind of why it shows up. So with this, we're saying, okay, we're seeing it, we've observed it, we've named the demon that haunts us. We can now move past from it. Our undercurrent is like sitting in contentment, but really needing to confront those ghosts from the past. And then going forward, of the above energy is knowing that things need to change. Maybe we need to get out of our comfort zones and start giving back to this world that we've taken so much from, right? When I'm doing these readings, they don't all get a huge amplified voice, right? Like sometimes it might just be luxury from one card or rise up from one card. Like I find with the smaller tiles that they almost whisper, and sometimes a whisper can be just exactly what you need, right? You know, I know some people want to read every single card for what they are, but maybe that's not the purpose of it. Maybe it's like they're just there to mediate, you know. Think of these players as a conversation. And so then now we bring in the Lenormand to kind of be some boundaries. And they're talking about, okay, well, there's some access going on here. And there's some big authority figures that maybe are in your life, you know. And with the majors and the royals and stuff, I do see that as something bigger than ourselves. The bear, also with the resources, it's talking about our investments and the things that we consume. And then we have the birds, and it's like the things we talk about and the chatter. And all together you're going, okay, but this has all given us access because we have access to those things that are bigger than us. But maybe you're afraid to talk about it. Maybe you're afraid to put yourself out there. So the action steps would be, well, that right there, like once you get over that initial anxiety, that literally is the key to unlocking your bigger opportunities. But then bringing it back into this space of going, but we have to name our shadow. We have to confront what it is that's holding us back, what it is that we keep coming back to, those habits, those attachments, and be able to clean up after ourselves in order to move on. There are the 2 spaces here. If we wanted to have like, if we wanted to, I don't know if at this point we really need it, but maybe we do, like just something that says, okay, these could be some ending mirroring steps, you know, using a term from Lenormand, like we could read these 2 together as like the action to do, right? I'm going to do 1 on each side as boundaries. So we've got that 8 of Pentacles. That's my card for today. And the Ace of Wands. And so when we put this together, we say, okay, we did the work, we read the books, we studied, we were able to name it, we were able to move on from it, and now we are able to embrace that new idea and that new passion, and we're going to go after it. We didn't just start here, we had to do the work to get here, right? So that is a way to use this particular board. I would like to start doing like a tarot casting Tuesday. Don't hold me to it, but I really am trying mentally to get into the space of sharing more here on YouTube with you and sharing more sessions in tarot casting. I really enjoy it. I really love talking about it. If you have any questions, if you would love to see a board that I have in action, let me know. I have some ideas for new ones. I'm really loving the color backdrops because I really feel like they add a sense of oracle to the whole place. They're a world that we get to go in and show up with our cards. I can't help but think of like video games, and we are the heroes coming here with our bag of tricks, right? So that is this one. This is the Ravens casting board or casting sticker. We are making a board as well. And I will put all links in the comments or show notes. Can you tell I'm new with the YouTube thing? But I'm trying. I'm doing my best, showing up where I am. But that is it, and I hope you have a little bit more clarity on how I might use this, and it has inspired you to do the same, and I will wrap that up now and talk to you next time. Bye.